Hello guys and welcome to another video. This time we're doing a very detailed guide on how to build your BJ5 team, since now we have repeat battle for Rift Raid, which is very important and one of the biggest updates, yet this 2020 has been great for Come To Us and the updates of this game, so let's go for it guys. Now first you have to fuse your Veil. Your Veil can be fused using Vertical, using the Blue Samurai, using Lupinas and the Fire Bearman. The first three monsters can be obtained by fusing them, and the Bearman can be obtained from a secret dungeon, from a fire secret dungeon. So there it is guys. Now let's examine all the monsters that we will need. We will need Beligear here. We will need Jensen. Those are the two monsters that give the name to the team, BJ5. You will need Colleen. You will need Dagora. And as the final mandatory member, you will need Lauren. Not this particular Lauren, this one. Now, there is a sixth member of the team, because this team is made of 6 monsters. And guys, the sixth member is the one that will give you the leader skill. And there are 3 leader skills here. You have, for example, the Fire Ninetales for the fire attack leader skill. You have Lupinas for the general global crit rate lead. And you will have Kali for the fire crit rate lead. However, there is one more monster that is used as a leader here, which is this girl, Rika. Not in my case, because mine is already built, and building this monster to use her on BJ5 as the leader skill, it's kind of hard because she has high base stats and it will be very difficult to make her die as you need her to. But keep in mind that several people use that, and having this 38% leader skill will allow you to use, instead of a global crit rate lead, you can use Lauren's attack global lead, which makes the stats needed for your team to reach the required damage much lower. Now guys, we will start reviewing the stats and how you should build your monsters. Now first, you have to consider that you need to build a tanky Bailey here. And this guide will be considering that all your towers are maxed. So guys, if you don't have all your arena towers, the offensive and defensive ones, already maxed, then you should have to increase the stats proportionally, okay? Now, as you can see, this Veil has very high attack, very high crit damage, and sort of an okay crit rate. So the crit rate need for your Veil is 62%. That way you are covered if one of your team members has Rika as the leader, which gives 38%, so you can go up to 100% thanks to that leader skill. Now, if you are not playing with Rika, then the global crit rate and the fire crit rate will make your CR requirement go up down to 58%. However, I highly encourage you and recommend you to build it with at least 62% crit rate. Okay? Now, for the damage stats. Well, guys, there are several charts online telling you how much damage should your Veil do. But now we have artifacts, guys, and artifacts will help us a lot here. Remember that the skill that deals damage is Start of Apocalypse, skill 3. So if you were to find an artifact with attack and skill 3 crit damage, see, I don't have skill 3 crit damage with this artifact, then you can increase the crit damage and thus need less attack. So let's say, for instance, if you have 229 crit damage like I do, and you want to deal the 32k damage on the last 5th attack of your Beligear, which is the required crit damage that you need to do to the boss, okay, 32k damage, then if you have 229 crit damage like myself, you will need an attack of about plus 1900. Okay, so see guys, I'm way above that. So since I'm way above that, I deal 35 to 36k damage, which is more than needed. However, it's great because that lowers the requirement for my party members, which is very helpful when you're facing the public raid, you know, where you can find lots of people without the consistent teams required. Okay, now if, for example, if you were to have 230 crit damage, then you will need plus 1800. If you were to have 240 crit damage, you will need plus 1700. If you were to have 250 crit damage, you will need 1650. If you have 260 crit damage, you will need 1550. You see, you are reducing between 50 and 100 attack needed per every 10% crit damage that you add. Okay, guys? And well, if you have less crit damage, let's say you have 210% crit damage, then you will need plus 2000 attack. If you have 200 crit damage, you will need plus 2100 attack. And if you have 190% crit damage, you will need between 2200 and 2300 attack. Plus 2300, okay? I'm always adding that to the base 790 that Bale has. Now that covers the damage part. Now for the tankiness on your Bale. Well, you will need 90k effective HP. Now there's a formula to calculate the effective HP of a monster, but to make it more simple to understand for you, I will tell you the numbers that you need to reach. This Bale is perfect, okay? But consider that I have my towers maxed. So with these stats, you will be good to go. However, you could have 100 less defense than me with the same HP, and you will be good to go anyways. Okay? So to reach those 9k effective HP, with having 20k HP before the towers and having 970 defense before the towers, then you will be good to go. Okay? Now, so let's take notes of that. Try to reach 20k HP before towers and try to reach 970 defense before towers. That way, you are sure your Bale will survive the first hit, thanks to the heal from Colleen, and then the jump, okay? Because we always consider the heal from Colleen. Now, for the turn orders, guys. The turn orders will be like this. The first monster to move, okay, should be your Colleen. Your Colleen will be the fastest monster. However, the top speed that you can give her is this one, plus 69, okay? Because you have max towers and you don't want to go above 192 total speed, because the boss may move after you. And if you move with your Colleen before the boss, there are lots of chances that she will not buff attack. And also you will be missing the heal from Colleen, which is very important for your team to survive. So your Colleen should move first. But she should move after the boss. And the second monster to move should be your Lauren. Now for your Colleen, what rooms will you give her? And I forgot to mention this on Bale as well. Your main monsters should have will runes. And why is that? That's because the boss will apply reduced attack and reduced speed to your monsters with his first kill. And that can mess up all your plans, okay? Especially the reduced speed can mess up your boosters, and the reduced attack can mess up your Bale. So your Bale should have with runes your Lauren should have will runes, and your Colleen should have will runes. Your Jensen should have will runes, and your Dagora should have will runes as well, because the boss may apply Oblivion, and thus it will eliminate the passive of Dagora, preventing Dagora from resurrecting, which will mess up your plans immensely. Okay, because you're counting on Dagora dying twice here, because that gives stacks to your Veil. Okay, now moving on. Colleen. Okay, we were talking about Colleen, and she should have 69 speed, she should have will runes, and 2 fight sets. However, you should build her with high HP, but the HP should be, the effective HP should be 30k, because you need Colleen to survive the first strike of the boss, but she needs to die after the jump. So her stats like this, 11k HP and about 420 defense is what you need to give her. Okay, you can go from 11k HP to 450 defense. All of this, of course, before applying the towers. So this is before applying the towers. And remember, this is considering you have maxed towers. If they are not maxed, then you may have to increase the HP. And you may have to test this several times, so you can have a party with your friends and test your monsters until you reach the required stats. Well, moving on to our Lauren, the second monster to move. Now, my Lauren has 100% accuracy. Actually, you only need 15% accuracy here, because the boss has 30% resistance only. And all this team is built like this in order not to rely on Lauren's pushback. Okay, you have to rely on Lauren defense raking, but all 3 Laurens will try to defense rake, and landing one from any of your party members is enough. So the odds of the 15% applying to every hit of Lauren, because Lauren can use skill 1 or skill 2, and both skills are multi-hits, so the odds of this defense break failing are way too low. It could happen, but the odds are way too low. Okay, so remember, you need 15% accuracy. Now, stats for Lauren. Mine is on crit damage. And why is she on crit damage? Well, because I want to deal as much damage as possible so I can cover up for the possible low-level partner that I find on channel 65. Well, I can build her like that. You don't need to. If your Veil deals 32k damage, then you're good to go. You don't need to build her on crit damage. But I do anyways because I want to minimize the odds of losing due to people around me. Okay. Now, for her effective HP, it should be 100k, which is higher than Veiliger. So you should aim for about 23k HP and 950 defense. Mine is way above that. And since there are artifacts here, you can actually reach those stats quite easily, okay? But guys, double fight will for your Colleen as well, as I told you. And now we're moving on to Jensen and Dagora. Now, for the speed of your Lauren, she should move after your Colleen and before your Veil. Okay, Veil should be the third monster to move. So Lauren will defense break, and then your Veil will deal his massive attack. Now, for our Jensen and our Dagora, these two guys, well, there's one very important thing that you have to consider here. You should try to make your Dagora a little bit faster than your Jensen, and of course it should be slower than your Veil. Your Veil speed should be above 27, Okay, he should be about plus 27, considering that you have max towers. That way, you will make sure nothing funny will happen here. Okay, you can prevent the boss from cutting you and and those things that could happen if you rely on pushbacks from Lauren, especially after the jump, guys. That's when having plus 27 speed is important, because the monster, the opponent will take a turn, and your if he takes a turn and stuns your Bale, then you are lost. Okay, so try to make it above plus 27. Now, if you have him on plus 27, then you can have your Dagora on plus 29, like I do. And it's very easy to aim for particular speed here, because you will have this lot to play with. So guys, build your Dagora with as low HP as you can, so that he always dies turn 1, and then he goes back up. He needs will runes in order to prevent the boss from applying the Oblivion state on him, preventing him from reviving. Okay, now for your Jensen, you should have as much effective HP as possible, above 100k if possible, and I run my Jensen on the front row so that I can minimize the damage to the back row, which will be my Bale, my Lauren, and my Colleen. Okay, so those are the monsters that I need to survive to a certain point. Colleen should die after the jump, but the others I need them to survive. So if I put my Colleen in the front row and the boss deals the attack that targets the front row, he will most likely kill my Colleen there, and that will be a loss for me. So she is in the second row, receiving the attack that is weaker, that can happen or not, depending on the boss, or what the boss chooses to do. And well, your Jensen should be the tankiest monster that you have. These are the stats of mine, very tanky, and he always survives, and he's a little bit slower than my Dagora. But remember, you need will runes here, because if the boss was to apply slow on you, it may desync you. You may lose the sync of your team. So if the synchronization of your team is lost, then the turn order may be modified, and that means that your team will lose. That's why you need will runes, because with this team we're minimizing RNG. The only RNG we will be facing here is Lauren failing defense break, which we have 3 Laurens multi-hitting. The odds are very low, and that's the only way we can lose. So why is Dagora faster than Jensen? Well, there is one more thing that you have to consider here, guys, which is that some people may use Transmogs. Some people may use, for example, a Fran instead of a Colleen, which I don't recommend. And the difference in syncs, in synchronization, can happen. Now, let's say one of your teammates is a little bit slower with the attack animations and has that slightly sync difference. Then your 4th monster may be able to take a turn. Now, we know that the leader monsters will be on triple fight. You can see them here. They are on triple fight, and they are all almost inexistent. They are as weak as they can be, and they will be in the front line dying. So there will be a dead ally. And let's say that your Jensen was to move 4th. Then your Jensen will use the revive, and then you will be lost, because the boss will jump, the boss will kill what Jensen revived, and you will not have your attack bar ready for all of your monsters in order to deal the second wave of damage, and that can cause your team to lose. That's why we have Dagora moving 4th, because when Dagora moves, then your unsynced partner will use the Veil third skill and reduce the boss's HP to 50%, and then the boss will jump and will kill Dagora, and then your Jensen will move after the boss jump, and he will revive 3 monsters, pushing the attack bars by 90% and making sure that you will take that turn before the boss. Okay? That's what we need, the 90% push. Because if that wasn't to happen, then you will be relying on Lauren pushing back the attack bar of the boss. And you don't want to rely on pushbacks. The only RNG that we can tolerate here is the defense rake from Lauren. Okay? So that, guys, is why you build them with those stats and in that order. So now, guys, we will move on to the real life test of this team.
So here we are, guys. We're doing auto runs because now we have that option, which is great, and that's why it's very important to build this team as consistent as you can and following this guide the most you can, guys. So here we are, and as you can see, the boss will be attacking the whole party this time. Dagora will revive, Colleen will buff attack and heal, because her AI will make her do that. And then your Veil will deal enough damage, and if your party is tuned, then they will deal enough damage to lower the attack bar of the boss to the half, and then you will be able to finish it and clear it. And sometimes people are not tuned, and sometimes you will find people who are not tuned as you are, thanks to this guide. However, if you are tuned like this, then and your monsters are tanky like this, then you can make up for the fails of your teammates. And that way you will be much safer yourself, and you'll stop wasting time. You can compensate for your teammates. And that's the most important thing you can do when you go to public R5. When you go to channel 65 and ask for R5, for BJ5, and you find lots of people that are testing, people that are weak, but they count on you being stronger. And that can happen, and being stronger will save you lots of time of searching for the right party, you know? So here you can see we did 2 runs perfectly well. And well, now we are doing a third one. Here we got the attack on the front row, and it doesn't matter. As you can see, my Veil, my Colleen, and my Lauren are on my back row, and so they receive less damage overall, and they don't have the risk of receiving the attack that the boss did here. So there you go, guys. That's it. Perfectly tuned. Now, that's it for the normal part of this video. However, I want to share with you one thing that I was lucky enough to have on tape, and this is an anomaly, and I want to share it with you. Okay, guys, here we are gonna look at the anomaly. Now, I had to modify the HP of my Dagora because of this, and the HP that I showed you in this video is the correct one and has never failed me. However, I will show you a very, very unlikely situation now. As you can see, now the boss attacked my front row and killed one of my monsters, and Dagora revived. So Colleen is supposed to heal and give me the attack buff. However, as you can see, she is doing her first skill. She dared, guys, and this almost never happens. Actually, that's the first time I see it happening. And so for this, I modified the HP of my Dagora to the one that I showed you first in this video. But I was very lucky to capture this footage, because I've heard people saying that they are using Dagora and not the Fire Golem, Fire Giant, and the Fire Skogul, you know, who has a similar passive to Dagora, because that monster is more inclined to make this kind of thing happen. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this was useful for you. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions, and I will be happy to reply like always. Please subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one, guys. Bye bye.